So let's assume that we actually are able to accelerate transition. Some of the risks that I perceive are real are as we enter into the quest, for fewer emissions or even water neutrality, which is something that we've discussed here today. I think we run the risk of widening some of the gaps in terms of socially and poverty around the world.
There has been a huge emphasis on environmental issues and how to solve the environmental crisis and issues, but very little on a social aspect. So going back to that quick acceleration of energy transition, if you're having a demand shock, if you're putting a huge load on demand, if on a supply side there is lack of investment, there is shortage of supply, or our supply sources or alternative sources are not affordable, all of these are going to have impact on economy and inflationary impact, which is going to ultimately have impact on the social aspect and create problem. And this is not just in areas that there's energy poverty, let's say in Sub-Saharan Africa. It could be perfectly in countries that are economically developed.
Energy investment across the board, I think, is the biggest risk. There's a lot of investment in wind and solar, but that has to dramatically increase. There's not as much in clean tech. I mean, some clean tech are favors, others are not. And so, like, for example, hydrogen, there's a lot of private capital chasing hydrogen, a lot of government money. But in CCUS and carbon capture, use, and storage, there's not so much.
Education is not necessarily a risk, but it could be considered a risk if people do not really understand the pluses and minuses or the concerns that come about when an energy transition would take place, particularly if there's a disruptive transition, which we seem to be dealing with at this point in time.